Now you may have noticed that when you're doing things in Word, it automatically makes changes to some of the text that you're carrying out. Sometimes this is a welcome change and sometimes it's not such a welcome change. First thing we're going to do is explore the things that Word will autocorrect by itself. These are things that you can turn off and deactivate, but by default they are all on. Now one of the first things it will do by itself is correct a use of two initial capitals. For example, if I were to start writing the, and I've not taken my fingers off the shift key fast enough, I end up with a capital H as well as capital T. Well, as soon as it sees that I've finished the word, which it will do when I press space, Word auto-corrects that double initial capital, thinking the same thing, you've left your hand on the shift key too long. And it will do it regardless of the length of the word. Elia. So that's a person's name, but it doesn't know that. It's just seeing that I've used two double capitals at the beginning, space to tell it I've finished the word, and it auto-corrects that second capital. Now it will only do it for two initial capitals. If you are super slow off the shift key, and you happen to leave three initial capitals, and then press space, you'll see that it doesn't auto-correct that. So it's only for those people who are quite slow, so they have two initial capitals, but for those people that are super slow, and have three initial capitals, then it doesn't help you out. Now there is one exception to this rule, and that is the word IDs. If I put IDS, now you would think that's going to autocorrect and change the uppercase D to lowercase d, but it's actually an exception to this rule, so that when you press space, it makes no changes to the word IDs, because obviously ID is uppercase all the time. So that's one thing that it does, corrects that two initial capitals. And you might notice it in action, or you might just have been quite happily taking what it does for you, and it's been helping you out for years. It will also capitalize the first letter of sentences. Now this could make you a lazy typist. So if I were to start typing a sentence, as soon as I finish the word, because that's its trigger really, the space to say I finished that word, see if you want to do anything with it. When I press space, it changes that little t into a capital T because it's the beginning of a sentence. This is the first line. Now it is the beginning of the sentence that triggers that, not the beginning of the line, because I now put a full stop and look to start a new sentence, somebody, and then when I press space, you'll watch it change that S to an uppercase S. There we go. So it's the first letter of a sentence will be changed into uppercase. That could make you very lazy, not having to type uppercase letters ever again when you start a sentence. Now this first letter idea also happens in tables, which is why we have a little sample table here. If I start a table and then put NAME, and then we know that in tables we can tab to move to the next cell. Well, the minute I tab to the next cell, you can see that Word changes the first letter of that cell to an uppercase letter. And it will do that in every cell, not just the top row or the bottom row or the left-hand column, every cell. So I could quite happily just tab along, not put in any capitals, and it will put them for me. So every single start of a cell gets a capital letter. Let's go back to this little section here. It will also capitalize the first letter of days of the week. So if I were to put today is Monday, and I don't put a capital M, the minute I finish typing, so it's that space again, or a full stop, that triggers Word to check what I'm doing. And tomorrow is Tuesday, so again, no capital T, but the minute I put a full stop, it changes that to a capital T. So it will do that with every day of the week. So again, making you a lazy typist. And what about months? Notice it changed the little w to an uppercase W. Let's say, for example, that it's September. We are now in September. No capital S, but when I finish the sentence, Word changes it into a capital S. So it's going to capitalize the days of the week and the months of the year for us as well. It's just too helpful. Don't forget that all of these features are turn-offable. We can deactivate them if they are annoying. Now there is one great feature coming up next that I do absolutely love. Sometimes, if you have your caps lock on and you don't notice, you can start typing. And what happens is you end up with words like that, where the first letter is lowercase and then the rest is uppercase, because I've held the shift key down, but because the caps lock on, it inverts and I get a lowercase letter. I let go of the shift key and it goes back to being uppercase letters. That's incorrect use of caps lock. When I finish the word by pressing space, what Word does is it inverts all the case of that word, So now it looks correct. And to really help me out, it turns the caps lock off on the keyboard as well, so that I can't do it again. So that's incorrect use of caps lock is all sorted for you. It's just unbelievable. So I put the caps lock on by accident. I might even attempt to type my name. It looks silly. I press space to finish the word. Word inverts the cases and turns the caps lock light off so that when I go and do my surname, I'm not doing it inverted again. How helpful can it get? So it corrects initial capitals when you do two, capitalizes the first letter of sentences, the first letter of cells, days of the week, months of the year, and does this clever sorting out your incorrect use of caps lock. What it also does is replace some very common mistypings. If I were to type a word wrong, such as make, I am meant to be typing make, but because one of my fingers is faster than the other on the keyboard, I end up with this mistyping of amki. The minute it sees that I finished the word, here's the space again, Word automatically changes that to make, saying, I think you meant to type make there. Now these clever changes of common misspellings are quite useful, except for the fact the day you actually want to type amki. So you do have to watch the screen sometimes to see what it's doing. I can make cakes, and there's another common mistyping of and, but again, when I space, it changes it to and. I can make cakes and achieve, which I'm going to deliberately spell wrong, and when I press space to finish, word pops the I and the E the right way around. When you mistype a word that it doesn't know the real spelling for, then you have to revert back to the spell checker. As has happened here with items, it doesn't know that items is meant to be items, so it tries to spell check the word. But there are a lot of these common misspellings, and we're going to look at those and see how you can actually add your own into that misspelling list so that it will automatically change words that you mistype without you having to do anything about it. So it's going to make you a lazy typist, doing all these title cases for you, and make you a lazy speller because it's going to change everything for you. But there are caveats to all of this, that you can't have it changing everything because it will change the correct spellings to the wrong spellings at the time you don't want it to. One last little thing to look at that is quite clever that it does are some clever symbol conversions. If I do an open bracket C close bracket, it changes that into a copyright symbol. If I do colon and a close bracket, it changes it into a smiley face. If I do an open bracket, an R and a close bracket, it changes that into a registered symbol. So there's a lot of these little symbol conversions built in as well that are automatic and make life a lot easier for you. And you'll have probably already seen that it does the superscript thing when you do things like first, space, changes the ST to superscript so it appears above the line. So that's a summary of the automatic things that Word will do, automatic corrections. These automatic corrections are items that you can disable if they are annoying or they keep changing things that you don't want them to change. But if you like them and are making use of them, even if inadvertently, then we can retain them. So that's the overview. Next step is to have a look at how we can alter what Word is doing by itself and add or take away from its list of autocorrections.